Hello and welcome to the Daily Royal. My name is Shelby and I have been a royal watcher for the past 10 years. In this podcast, I talk about the daily events of 7 of the European monarchies. So I talk about Belgium, the UK, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. I upload Monday through Friday with occasional bonus episodes here and there. Today we are going to be doing a special episode focused on the Spanish state visit to Sweden. So, hi. So let's see. I recorded on Sunday. Cool. And it's Friday. So I got super sick in the early part of this week, which was terrible. So let's see, I kind of came out of it Wednesday night-ish, but I was super sick, so I had done 0 prep work, and in a normal world, probably would have been able to record on Thursday. However, I live in the US, and it was a holiday yesterday. It was Thanksgiving here, and so, the first half of the day, it was, cooking and getting ready and then eating. And then after cleanup was done is when I really started to dive in to just catching up on everything. I had kind of known what was going on, in terms of I was following things throughout all the royal families, but very specifically on the state visit. But I didn't know a lot of the individual events that the Spanish royals took on. So King Felipe took on a few events of his own. Queen Letizia took part in some things kind of by herself, typically accompanied by Swedish members of the royal family, but Swedish royal family members. But I kind of knew what those were, but not really. I was following more of when everybody was together. And yeah. So I was aware, but I needed to do a lot of work to get to that point. So we are to that point now. I have caught up through yesterday on every single royal family that I talk about. So here's the grand plan. Today we are doing the special episode on the state visit. That's what's going up. That's what you're listening to, obviously. But then I'm going to just do a weekly episode. So I don't do these. I'm not typically going to do these in November. Maybe I'll do one the week of Thanksgiving next year. I'm not sure. It's pretty normal for me to get sick around Thanksgiving, so I was not shocked. I was sad, but I was not shocked, because I had been sick in August, September timeframe, so I was well, it'll be fine. No, I was not fine. So I got sick. So I'm just going to do a weekly. It's going to go up on Monday morning, and then we'll go back into dailies, for the next couple weeks. And then I am going to take a 2-week break. So the week leading up to Christmas and the week after Christmas leading up to the new year. I am taking both of those weeks completely off. So I'll probably do an episode close to New Year's Eve, that'll cover anything that might have happened in those 2 weeks, on a royal family standpoint. Again, it's not going to be a lot. That's why I can do this. And then on January 1st, we'll go up a recap of Christmas and New Year's speeches. That actually may end up going up on the 2nd. And then there will be a 2021 highlight that goes up on the 2nd and 3rd, or 3rd and 4th, one of those two. And then I will fully be back by January 6th. Things are still going to be slow, but that is when I will fully be back with here's everything that's happened since January 1st. So that's kind of just like a timeline of where we're going. Obviously this week was really challenging. November just, I went into November knowing how hard it was going to be, with all the state visits and all of that. And I didn't account for like how hard the other parts of my life were also going to be, and a holiday and all those things. And so it just didn't go well, but it'll be okay. So anyway, let's just talk about this state visit, shall we? On the Spanish side, they were in, King Felipe and Queen Letizia were in Sweden for 3 days. So we are going to start with the 3 days, even though the state visit was officially only 2 days. And really, they were there for like 2.5 days. They weren't there for a full 3. But we're going to just talk about the first day, which was Tuesday. So this is when the official, it's a departure ceremony. I never really know what to call it when I talk about this thing, but it's a ceremony marking their departure. There is a like military guard there. There's a state pavilion at the Madrid airport, at the Suarez. Is that his name? I think so. Anyway, it's the big Madrid airport. There's like a state pavilion, and that's where they leave from, and where incoming planes come to. So they arrived there. There's a royal guard there as well, like protection-ish, and then it's a ceremony marking their leaving. It's kind of more like a old-timey tradition in that like air travel used to not be safe, or it was probably always as safe as it is now, but it was more unknown, and so it was a scarier thought, and now it's like, okay, cool, let's just fly. But they are one of the only countries who still do like this official departure thing, which I kind of love. So they did that on Tuesday afternoon, and then flew the 4-ish. It's a little, I'm sure it's less than 4 for them, but like 3.5 hours, 4 hours to Stockholm. And then in the evening, so they attended or hosted-ish, an official reception for the Spanish community that live in Sweden. So these are, every time I read this, it gets a little more confusing, but also becomes clearer, if that makes any sense. Every time they seem to change who like is there, but I think that was a pandemic protocol. And so for this specific one, it was really, it was a limited list, of course, because of the pandemic, but they welcomed people who are living in Sweden who are Spanish citizens, whether they have Spanish citizens who live in Sweden with Swedish residency. That's really hard to say because there's a lot of S's. Geez, I'm having a hard day. So that was the first thing. They were wearing face masks. So Sweden does not have a lot of restrictions in place anymore for COVID. Spain obviously still does. And so it was, to me, questionable whether, what the face mask situation would be like. And I got so bummed out when they showed up and they were all in face masks. Like, legitimately bummed out. I was like, no. Like, face masks are super important. I wear my face mask anytime. I never forget. Well, sometimes I'll forget it, but I'm always immediately I'll walk into the store and go, oh no. And either if they have one, great. If they don't, I will go back to my car. It's that important to me. But I was excited for them to go to a place that didn't have face mask rules because I wanted to see their faces, okay? Okay. So I was a little disappointed, but don't worry because on Wednesday when the official state visit started, things became much better. So face mask rules out the window. No, there are no face mask rules in Sweden. That's why I was like, oh, I think this is how this is going to go. And then the first events weren't like that. But then from there on, we had no face masks and it was lovely. Also, I'm just going to say it is Sweden in late November. It is cold. And so this is like the most winter fashion we get to see from the Spanish Royals because they don't travel to cold climate. They like don't live in a super cold climate. So all in all, like, I'll just say this. I hope I don't repeat myself too much on this fashion-wise for Queen Letizia. This was like my favorite series of outfits that she has ever worn. Ever. And she has a lot of great outfits. So like this was great. Okay. So just throwing that out there now. But to start on Wednesday, which was the first day of the official part of the state visit, they did the official welcome ceremony with King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia. So that was just like a hi, hello, and then they traveled to like the official welcome at the Royal Palace of Stockholm. They rode in horse-drawn carriages, which is lovely, and the path, so in the UK, there's the Mall, which is the long stretch leading up to the traffic circle kind of thing in front of Buckingham Palace. So they always line those with like the flags. So there's something similar in Sweden. There's actually something similar in a lot of countries. I don't always know the name of it because it's usually not in English. But that strip was lined again with the Swedish and Spanish flags, which was lovely. And then, as we have kind of talked about, these official welcome ceremonies are pretty much following the same like routine. There's a review of guard by the heads of state, which is just like a crucial part. And then they are typically followed by a lunch hosted by the receiving head of state. So in this case, King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia hosted a lunch. But before that could happen, there was, Sweden does this thing where they do like a joint or like a press conference, but it's not really a press conference. They just make statements to the press ahead of like the visit really getting started. So that happened, which I think is lovely. Also, just side note, so I can speak Spanish. I'm pretty okay in Spanish. I can't speak Swedish. I used to be able to understand Swedish a lot more than I do now. But that's just because I don't immerse myself in it a lot. But because Spanish and Swedish are vastly different languages, they spoke English and I loved it. It was great. So that was really, really fun. I will say at the official welcome ceremony inside the Royal Palace, Crown Princess Victoria, Prince Daniel, Prince Carl Philip, and Princess Sophia were also all there, which is lovely. And from the official visit, they traveled to the Nobel Museum. So here's what I think happened. I can't find any like official documentation of this, but I think King Carl Gustaf and King Felipe walked to the Christmas market, to the Nobel Museum via a Christmas market. And I can't confirm, but I think that Queen Sylvia and Queen Letizia were driven, because it's on a brick path, which is really hard to walk on, obviously, in heels. So I don't know, but like there are no pictures of them walking, just like a few pictures of them at the Christmas market, and then like that's that. I could be wrong. I just don't know. So that happened. So then they visited the Nobel Museum because if you don't know, Sweden hosts every Nobel Prize except for the Nobel Peace Prize. They host that ceremony in December. This could be one of the things that, like, I break my 2-week vacation to talk about. I hope not to, but I may have to, and that's fine. The Nobel Prize is super duper important. So, if that's what happens, like I've always said, the Nobel Prize will get its own special episode. I just have to kind of know what that looks like, and right now I don't, mostly because it's not December yet. Like, it's getting close, so I'm getting close to doing my December prep, but I'm not quite there. I have to go to work tomorrow, and then I'll have like another 2 days off, so from then I think that'll be December prep. So, that is what happened in the morning. In the afternoon, Felipe and Letizia separated their schedules. So, Felipe visited the Swedish Parliament. Sweden is going through a political, I literally have nothing else to call it but a shit show. It is a political shit show right now, in Sweden. And it has been for a while. It's just, I don't talk about it on here because the king doesn't really have a huge part in a lot of it. So Sweden for a few hours on Wednesday had a female prime minister, who then later resigned, like before the sun had set, which is at 3:30 in the afternoon, had resigned because of just a lot of political stuff. But this is all happening amidst the Spanish state visit. So the poor president and Secretary General or Deputy Secretary General of the Riksdag, which is the parliament, had to step away from this nightmare that is happening to meet the King of Spain. What? Anyway, this is why maybe you shouldn't have state visits during political things, but like, this had been postponed for a long time, so there is rumor that it was supposed to happen in September of 2020, like had been planned, but because of the pandemic, obviously could not be. So, there's that. So sad. But anyway, it was just like, obviously you can't postpone it again, especially in the midst of a global health crisis, even if the political optics are a disaster. So anyway, he did that, and then he also did have a meeting with the former/now current prime minister. So this effect of the first female prime minister was not to take effect until the budget passed, I think. And the budget didn't pass is what happened. And so she then resigned, and the prime minister is back to who it was a while, like literally hours before. So anyway, again, just like a weird day politically in Sweden, while in the middle of this, like the King of Spain is trying to just have like these super formal, like, hi, how you doing meetings. Just awkward is what I think about it. But anyway, so that is what King Felipe was doing. Meanwhile, Queen Letizia, as well as Queen Sylvia and Crown Princess Victoria, attended a symposium on rare diseases, which is a cause that Queen Letizia works a lot with. And I think Crown Princess Victoria works with a lot too, which is why she was included. And Queen Sylvia does a lot of healthcare work as well. So that was really great. And then we get to the evening, which is the gala banquet, which is the best part of the night. It's Holy Tiara season. And also bless the Swedish Royals, because they like brought out everything. And honestly, so did Letizia. Like, she brought out like the big Spanish tiara, which is great. But like, because the whole Swedish royal family that is in Sweden attended, it was a lot of tiaras. It was lovely. It was just like a really great banquet. They live streamed Casa Real, so the Spanish royal households live streamed a lot of it, in terms of like the arrival, the greeting line, and then Yeah, both speeches from King Carl Gustaf and King Felipe, where they both respectively talked about the relationship between the two countries, the relationship as, royal families, but then also, like, the similarities between Spain and Sweden, but also, like, the vast differences. And most of those vast differences are climate related and, like, Northern Europe and Southern Europe relation. Again, cold. There was a lot of emphasis on the cold, which it looked cold. But yeah, so that was the first night, and then we have the second day, which is Thursday the 25th. On Thursday, we started out with the agendas being separated. So King Felipe and King Carl Gustaf did a lot of trade and businessy relation things on Thursday morning. So they started out attending the Spain-Sweden business seminar. They visited the Royal Institute of Technology to learn about sustainable, intelligent, and safe, like, mobility, so cars, which looked really fun, by the way. So I can't remember where I watched it, but there's a video, maybe it was on the Swedish Royal Household's Instagram stories, I think. But anyway, there's a video of King Felipe, what looks like basically playing a driving video game. And this is not, like, if you pay enough attention, you know this, but, like, it's pretty universally known that at least before he was king, King Felipe was, like, a car guy. I'm sure he still is, it's just a little different now. But, like, he liked cars, he likes driving, like, that's a thing for him. He just enjoys it. But now he's had the same car for a long time. Like, most of his reign so far, they've been in the same, like, personal car. I don't know, it's just funny. But, like, he was a car guy, and so, like, he looked like he was just having a really good time. And it was the same thing a couple weeks ago when he was, like, driving an electric, like, work vehicle, like, work truck, work van. He drove it not very far, but, like, again, it's just something that's, like, fun. So that looked like a really fun event for him. And then they also visited the Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences. So that was King Felipe's morning. And then Queen Letizia and Queen Sylvia attended a seminar on language at the Bernadotte Library in the Royal Palace of Stockholm. So this is, more of a, like, cultural, like, sharing of the cultures between Spain and Sweden, kind of gathering the language seminar, which I thought was really, really cool. So that was their event. And then in the afternoon, well, it says, like, at noon exactly, actually, the Spanish Royals and Swedish Royals attended a lunch hosted by the city of Stockholm, like the government of Stockholm, at the city hall, where there was a lunch, obviously, because they hosted a lunch. But then afterwards, King Felipe and Queen Letizia received the key to Stockholm, which I think is just, like, a funny concept. Like, receiving a key to a city that you don't visit, at least professionally, often. Felipe and Letizia have not been in Sweden professionally. I don't know about personally, but professionally since 2010, when Crown Princess Victoria got married. Like, that was the last time they were in Sweden professionally. Like, in their role as, at that point, Prince and Princess of Asturias. But, like, it's just, It's so silly. Like, why do you have a key to the city? But also, like, the city is not locked, so keys to cities are funny. I'm just like, wouldn't you, like, just give them a plaque or something? I don't know. Anyway, so that was really lovely. And then to finish out, we had a couple events in the evening time. So the first part was a meeting with members of Spanish scientists in Sweden. Again with the alliterations. I have a hard time keeping Spain and Sweden separate in my brain when I talk on a normal podcast. When they visit the other, I'm a mess. So this is where Spanish citizens are doing their research projects or research or work in the scientific field abroad, particularly in this case in Sweden. And then they also delivered an award that was given out for the first time, but will honor scientific work being done by a Spaniard living and working outside of Spain. So obviously they delivered it to one in Sweden. I kind of now want them to go to a state visit like every year just to do this award. Which honestly, they'll probably just combine it with the state visits that are scheduled. But, you know, we'll see. It'll be an interesting thing. And then at the very, very end of the day, King Felipe and Queen Letizia hosted a, thank you reception at the Spanish embassy to King Carl Gustaf and the entire Swedish royal family again. Which I just love how, involved every Swedish royal family member was in, all of this. Crown Princess Victoria did a few other things, at the same time, with the state visit. But, I love that, all the big events they all attended. I just thought that was really, really awesome, especially in a pandemic world. You know, it could have been very easy to just be no, principals, kings and queens only. But, you know, I think it was just really great to include, Victoria and Daniel and even Carl Philip and Sophia. It was just really lovely to have that, camaraderie between royals. It's just fun. I mean, that's why, I loved so much when, King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima went to Trondheim with Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit. It was just that, you saw those friendships that exist between this younger generation, that is hard when a generational thing is happening like that. So it's just really nice that, the younger generation of Swedish royals were also included in this. I loved it. And then this is a, pretty specific, Sweden thing. They also do a departure ceremony for the guests at the airport. They do a send-off. So King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia accompanied King Felipe and Queen Letizia to the airport and then did a official departure ceremony for them to fly back to Madrid. And that was it. It was lovely. It was actually, I don't want to do this as a special episode very often. It just made sense because I was so sick at the beginning of the week. I couldn't even come close to doing a podcast. It just made sense for it to be this way this time around. But I kind of loved consuming it all pretty much at once. That was really great. Over the course of the day, but just knowing all the events that happened completely at one time was really kind of fun. But I will happily go back to the way it was before. So anyway, that was the Spanish state visit to Sweden. It was so wonderful. I love royal to royal state visits. So our next upcoming state visit is the Belgian state visit to Italy. That is happening, let's see, that starts, I think, on Tuesday. Again, it's Friday. So, you know, everything will be caught up by Tuesday. And then we'll jump into another state visit. Oh boy. But yeah, so this was Spain to Sweden. And with that, like I said, I've updated all of the photos on the website, thedailyroyal.com. I'm basically done with Instagram up through the 25th. And so you can check out the photos there. And I will talk to you all on Monday. On Monday for our last week of November review. All right. Well, I will talk to you all then and have a fantastic weekend. Bye.